Hello and welcome to the latest episode of BSME Talks. I'm Debra Forsyth, CEO of British Schools in the Middle East, the membership network that connects and supports British curriculum schools across the Middle East and North Africa. Every year, hundreds of teachers from the UK make a decision that most of their colleagues never will, to pack up and move to a new job abroad. It's a decision that takes courage, curiosity, and if we're honest, a bit of a leap of faith. This episode is for anyone who might be considering that leap themselves, and for school leaders who might want to understand what it feels like to be on the other side of the recruitment process. Joining me for today's episode are three teachers who have made that decision and will be leaving the UK behind them in August to begin a new international chapter of their life working in the Middle East. Charlotte Lown, Poppy Russo, and George Gardiner. A very warm welcome to the three of you from BSME. It's wonderful to have you with us today and to share with us the start of your exciting journey to the Middle East. I'd like to kick off, if we can, please, by just asking each of you to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about where you are and where you're going to. Poppy, would you like to kick us off?
So my name is Poppy. I'm a primary school teacher. I currently work in a school in East London, Bean County Primary School. I am moving to British International School of Jeddah. And yeah, really excited for it.
Thanks very much, Poppy. Charlotte?
Hi, I'm Charlotte and I'm currently working in a secondary school as a drama teacher and head of year 11. I currently work in a school in Portland, which is in Dorset, and I'm moving to Dubai to Repton Al Barsha.
Portland, that's not too far from where I'm based in. And George, tell us where you're coming from and where you're going to.
Hi, I'm George. I'm a deputy head teacher or vice principal, in York in a primary school here. And we are moving to Abu Dhabi to Reach British School, which is part of the ISP network. And we're really looking forward to the UAE in August.
Thank you all very much. Now, I sort of want to talk about your journey. So I'm going to go right back to the beginning of your journey and want to sort of discuss with you a little bit about what prompted you to think about applying for a job in the Middle East. Do you know people who've worked here? Did somebody give you an idea? George, you're moving with family as well. So you're uprooting your whole family. It's a significant decision for you to move from the UK. Tell us what made you first consider your first move into international education.
Our decision has been quite a long time coming. So straight out of university, I had the ambition to move to Asia, and I ended up not being able to just because of some family circumstances at the time. And then life happens, doesn't it? I began my teaching career. I was given lots of really good opportunities at work. I met my wife, and we started a family. And then about three or so years ago, one of my wife's good friends moved back from Dubai, and we were away for a weekend with them. And my wife just turned around, Frankie, she turned around and said, "I've always wanted to live abroad." And we had this sort of moment of how we're married, we've been together for years, and we've never discussed this. That's been one of my ambitions that I just thought would never happen. And I just started my current role at the time. So the timing was not very good, and we were just starting a family, like I say. So we decided to park it and that we'd revisit it. And then our youngest child has just turned 1, and over this sort of 9 months ago or so, we decided that, we'll start to look properly. But the place had to be right. We then landed on the Middle East as a destination because we talked about our skill sets in terms of languages or lack of, and then the opportunities to teach in English-speaking British schools was really strong in the Middle East. And then also we're really close to our parents, and the idea of having a single flight rather than maybe 2 flights, and the fact that the Middle East is a transport hub for traveling, all those reasons sort of made us think specifically about the Middle East. And then having visited, it was then a toss-up between Dubai and Abu Dhabi, basically. Mm-hmm. And through visiting and speaking to a couple of schools, the personal attraction of Abu Dhabi and the family ethos that we felt there has been really strong. And then significantly my conversation with the principal of Reach, is someone who's heavily involved in BSME, Craig Holsall was, and then Nadia, who's the head of primary. Those two conversations were pivotal as well. Really exciting leaders, and then they also shared their vision for me, and I think that package of the deal for the family and the professional opportunities, I didn't expect them to sort of marry so well so early, because it was literally the first school that I properly applied for, and it was too good to turn down. So in February we said yes, and yeah, we're really excited. So I hope that's quite a detailed explanation, but it's been like
no, that's great, and really great that you were lucky the first time. Yeah.
Yes.
But
very lucky.
everything just fell into place for you. Wonderful.
Yeah,
Thanks
exciting.
for sharing that. Now, Charlotte, is there a particular moment for you, because you're also moving complete with family, again, big decision for the whole family there? Was there a particular moment, conversation, chat with a colleague? What planted the seed of international education for you?
I think similar to George, things fell into place this time. So we looked previously as well a couple of years ago. Conversation started with my husband, who is due to come out of the Navy fairly shortly. So his 23 years is about to come up, and he was looking for something new and exciting, and said, "Oh, what about teaching abroad? We've talked about it before." Again, before children, and then, like George said, life happens. So we started to have a look again, and then I don't know why we didn't really push for it. He kind of got another job within the Navy that he quite liked, and continued with that for a bit longer. I got offered an assistant head at the school I'm currently at, so we kind of thought, okay, actually we're quite happy here and things are going quite well. And then again, the conversation came up, and this time my husband really is leaving the Navy. And I said, "Oh, I don't know. You said that before. The girls are settled now," because my eldest daughter has started secondary school. So I was kind of on the back foot, maybe not. And then my cousin, who works at Repton, gave me a call and said, "There is a drama teacher job going at my school." And I thought, oh, well, if there ever was going to be a time, that would be quite nice. I went for the interview, and I said to my husband, it has to feel right, though, because we're moving our children. That's a big deal. And it did feel right. And so this was around February time, said yes to that job, and kind of really not looked back. We're really quite excited now, and really just looking forward to getting out there.
And nice that you've got family here as well, so you've got some connection to move towards.
Yeah, and maybe I got to be honest, maybe that was the thing that helped me this time round, as opposed to last time. And my children are old enough to have their own opinions, and so everyone has a voice. And we sat around having conversations around the dinner table, and they're both really quite excited about the opportunities that it lends as well. Like George said, being in the middle of the world, the opportunity to travel, and it's just a flight home. So they know that they will return home for holidays and things, but actually the opportunities that it lends itself, and the education, the quality of education out there for them, as well as for me as a teacher, is going to be superb. So we're all very excited.
Great experiences for the whole family.
Yes.
And Poppy, you've actually worked abroad before, so you've worked in the Far East before, obviously gone back to the UK. What prompted you, what made you think this time about moving to the Middle East?
Well, we loved our time in Singapore. We had the best time, and it was just an amazing experience. And we got to really do things that, we've never been able to do before, trying different things. In both in our professional environment and also in our personal life. And we only moved back to the UK because of COVID. So, I mean, if that hadn't happened, we possibly might still be out. And then we had our first child here. And I don't know, timings just felt really right. I had friends who were teaching in Saudi, and I'd kept in contact with them, and there'd just been a change in leadership at the school, and so they were really, really keen to kind of get us out there. And it was kind of them persuading us, and us kind of thinking, my son was one, we want to go back out. It was all it kind of all aligned in the sense that my friends were really keen to get us over, and we were just kind of feeling a bit ready to go back out. We always knew when we came back from Singapore, we always knew we wanted to go back out and teach abroad again, because I think you'll find, Deborah, I'm sure you find that once people go, it's I think once you've had a taste, you know it's amazing traveling, and the schools that you'll work at are just incredible. And yeah, I think we always knew we wanted to come back out, and so yeah, the timing really aligned really, and with our friends trying to get us out, and so yeah, that's how we ended up out again.
Yeah, you're absolutely right there, Poppy. I think the Middle East is full of people who came out for 2 years and are still here.
Yes.
23 years for myself later.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I think it does catch you, and I think it becomes then a way of life, and I think
100%.
it's interesting, all of you talking about sort of new experiences, different experiences that you just wouldn't have at home. And I think for you, and when you're traveling with children, that really different experiences that it can offer for them as well. And interesting that we've got some not really snap decisions here then. So actually these have been quite long journeys if we go back to when you were perhaps first thinking about moving abroad. So interesting there. Moving on now, and I'm going to address the elephant in the room. Obviously, over the last few months, the Middle East has been in the headlines for all of the wrong reasons. We've had a little bit of a war going on. We are hopefully this far from the signing of a peace agreement in a couple of days, and we hope we'll be able to put that all behind us. But I'm guessing at just about the point when you guys were being interviewed and offered jobs and making decisions, we were probably still very much in the midst of this. So let's start with you, Poppy, this time. I'm going to ask you honestly, did it give you pause for thought? Did it make you go, oh, maybe not?
We actually got our jobs ages. I think we got our jobs in October, November, quite early. Yeah. They were very keen, and we met Helen, who is the director of school, and we actually met her in London, and that was amazing. And literally, I think like 2 weeks later, everything kicked off. But the school, I will say, and I'm sure that Charlotte and George will say the same, have been amazing at putting everything, all of our, everything to rest in terms of great communication. They did lots of talks with us. And as we've got friends out there who immediately, I was on the phone going, oh yeah, you guys okay? Is everything fine? And they were like, everything in Jeddah, I think they had like 1 or 2 days of home learning, and then it all kind of went back to normal. So, and where we're going, Jeddah has been it seems to have been quite, like, everything seems to be working as normal. So, yeah, we've just been really assured from that. But as I will say, not only my friends, but the school have genuinely been really, really good and really supportive, and there for any questions that we've had. But yeah, it was definitely a spanner in the works, and I think it happened. I honestly think we told our families after Christmas, and then I think 5 days later, everything kicked off, and they were all like, "Hold on, surely that's affected it." But no, we've been very, assured by the school and by friends. So yes, we've been really great in that respect.
Okay. And Charlotte, did you, when it all kicked off, as we say, did you seek out information yourself on what things were like on the ground? Did you wait to hear from the school? What was the scenario for you?
I kind of waited, to be honest. I didn't go into huge panic, which is quite unlike me, actually. But I think it did help that my cousin is out there, so she was able to reassure me, because the family group chat kicked off. They were all trying to get her to come home, and I was thinking, oh, I better not tell them what I'm about to do. And there was probably a moment where I thought, okay, because of all the things I'm hearing and what my family are saying, is this sensible? Hang on a minute, just take a little bit of a moment and think, I'm really excited about this job, but is it the right thing for my family? And I had to have a little pause. But I think my husband's profession, he was able to put my mind at ease a bit. And then my cousin would send me videos and messages and say, here's business as usual.
Down on the beach.
She was on a beach. She, I think at one point she sent it to the family group chat and did like a little whip round and went, life is as normal. Please, everyone, stand down. Everything is fine. This is okay. Touch wood. But I think, again, communication with the school, if I have had any questions, I've emailed, they've I've not been made to feel silly or anything, you know, communication's been straight back. And yeah, I think a few days of home learning, but actually the fact that they did home learning for the safety of the students and the staff, that again reassured me that they were proactive at responding to their needs. And that also reassured me that they're taking care of their staff and their students and the well-being of the community. So I felt pretty reassured by that as well.
Good. Okay, that's great. George, were your family panicking and saying, what are you doing?
It's funny just to hear the timing that Poppy and Charlotte, you just said, because we had this similar thing where I think my job offer was early February, and then I'd handed my notice in because I wanted to help my current school recruit, because obviously notice periods are quite long for deputy headship, so just making sure, wanting to do the right thing by them. And then I know it was at the end of February that everything began. So it was that, yes, this we've got this amazing, exciting news, and then straight away I was getting texts saying, you know, what are you doing? And it is really interesting to hear what you're both saying, because I don't think naturally that I'm someone who holds their nerve as an immediate, that it wouldn't necessarily be something that comes naturally. It's something I had to work on. And my wife and I talked quite a lot about holding our nerve in terms of not making snap decisions. And the first 24 hours we were a little bit worried. And then when we started to try and talk about what we were actually worried about, we realised that I was worried that I'd handed my notice in, and that then suddenly we didn't know what was going on, and began to then realise that actually we're only worried because we're not ruminating, but starting to think, catastrophising about something that we dreamt about. And then very quickly, in the space of 24 hours, realised that there was actually nothing to worry about in that moment, because if things got worse and it was a really awful situation, which thankfully it hasn't turned out to be in the UAE where we're moving, then we wouldn't be able to move. So that decision would be taken out of our hand. Mm-hmm. And we actually felt really pleased that we'd handed our notices in at work, because it meant that there wasn't the ability to suddenly panic, or that decision was done. And that allowed us to just have a bit of space. So for the whole of March, we basically just said we weren't worrying about it, and that from a decision point of view, we just needed to wait and see. And having that space to say that was quite empowering, because it meant that we were then able to give that as a stock answer to the hundreds of people that ask questions constantly, and you get sick of it. I imagine Charlotte and Poppy might have had that. We're like, are you still going? Just go away. And then, like these two have both said, I've had just some really good conversations with the leadership team at the school. And similar to what you said, one of my colleagues, Joe, is an avid golfer, and he's sending me pictures of himself golfing. And I've got a really good friend who lives in Dubai with her family, and we've spoken to them. And I think in time, those conversations just relaxed our fears. And then we were spoken to our dads quite a lot, who we value their opinions, and they were really sensible. And it meant that no one panicked. And then our confidence just grew and grew from that first sort of 2 days of worry. And then, yeah, we're now at the point where we're just really excited again. So it's fascinating how that initial 24 hours of worry quickly moved to a space where we were less panicky and actually took stock of what was going on. And I know we've talked about like WhatsApp groups, but certainly ignoring social media helped. And speaking to people who are actually living in Abu Dhabi was just a completely different story.
Yeah, okay. Charlotte, you taking the cat with you?
It's my eldest daughter's greatest love.
Oh,
that has to come.
That has to come. Good, I'm glad to hear it. And yeah, really great there to hear that you got reassurance, not just from your schools, but also from people that you knew on the ground. Yeah, and there is no doubt that I think the UK media was not really terribly helpful in that it did tend to. They like to dramatise things. I guess that's where the news story gets exciting. So, and I'm really pleased that you're all now feeling really positive about coming out. And actually, I think schools generally in the region have been quite pleased that there doesn't seem to have been a great sort of, when people have been offered jobs, it's not a case of, like everybody's just decided they're not coming. There's maybe been one or two people who've said, oh no, I've changed my mind. But generally, people who had already accepted jobs are still coming and looking forward to fresh starts. So that's very exciting. I wanted now to talk a little bit about the schools that you've applied to and sort of that recruitment process. So for school leaders listening, this is where you need to get your ears open and get an idea of what it feels like to be on the other side of the recruitment process. Let's start with Charlotte. Was there something specific about the school that maybe responses with the school or something you learned about the school that made you feel this is the right role for me, this is where I want to go? You've got a contact there, which I guess helps.
Yes, that did help. But the school itself, I did a lot of reading, first of all, because as much as my cousin, I love her, you know, she's not enough for me to move my entire family and it not be right. So I did a lot of reading and looked at the school and the school's values, because obviously not only am I going to be teaching there, but my children are going to go to school there. So for me, Repton has high aspirations for their children, and there is it's about the high standards of education, but also kind of for the children as whole people and the enrichment side of life as well. And that stood out. I also liked they used the word accountable in their writing, and you know, I try and say that at my current school. I think today it's a controversial thing to say, but about children in the UK at the moment, I feel that you make excuses all of the time and keep lowering the bar, and I'm wanting to aim up here, and parents make excuses, children make excuses, and I don't want to work in an environment like that. I want to work in an environment where we're aspiring to great things, and Repton gave me the impression that that's what it's going to be there. And so for me, I want to work in a place where I can aim high with the children I'm working with, but also for my children to go to school and want to aim high. And I had an interview with Repton for a head of year 8 role, and I got that job as well. So I was really excited to be head of year 8. And I asked about, you know, what's the key thing to be working with this year group? What's my main thing that I need to be working with? And they said opportunities. And I thought, what a great answer. You know, it wasn't behavior, it's not attendance, it's not any of those things, it's opportunities. And I thought, yes, that's what I'm talking about. So yeah.
What an opportunity.
Yes.
Thanks very much. Now, Poppy, you talked about meeting your principal in the UK, and obviously I'm guessing you felt you made some connection there. What about the school in Jeddah particularly appealed to you?
Well, as I said, so I've got a friend who works at the school, and she was just talking about all of the really cool things that they're doing. So they've implemented, like they're doing a new timetable, where they're trying to bring the enrichment into the school day. And Helen, as you know, Helen is always amazing at she wants to try lots of new things, and that's what I mean. Like Charlotte was saying, that's what I love about education. You know, we love being able to, you know, roll out new initiatives and give things a go. And I think that that's something that me and my husband, both teachers, we really want to get stuck back into, you know, not being afraid, I think, like Charlotte was saying, there's a lot when you work in the UK, particularly in the state education system, there are a lot of things that you're constantly, you know, I work in a primary school, I'm a year 6 teacher, you know, we've got SATs, we've got moderation, there's loads of things that can sometimes feel like it narrows it can narrow your perspective and curriculum. Whereas when we worked abroad, you know, we got to trial, like we did eco farming in school. We built mini biomes when we were abroad in Singapore, mini biomes, and like we did some really, really cool things. And that's what Helen wants to bring to BSJ, and that's what she's bringing, and that's what we want to do. And so yeah, like Charlotte was saying, opportunities to do things that you wouldn't necessarily get to do in the UK. And I think when you've been out of this UK British schooling system and you don't have the constraints that can be here sometimes, it's fun. Like we had so much fun teaching, and like the children love it. They love school. You never get, like, I've never heard when I was in Singapore, a child saying they didn't want to come to school. They love school. Like school is a great place. I mean, school is great here in the UK as well, don't get me wrong. But it's a really different way of teaching, and that's what Helen wants to champion. And it's change is difficult, it's hard, but yeah, we're all for it, and that's what we really want to do when we come to Jeddah.
I can hear lots of excitement coming through there. That's great. George, you've already spoken about Craig and, I've forgotten, what was the name of the head of primary?
Nadia,
that's right. So you obviously felt a connection there, and you felt that they were leaders that you would want to work with. Was there anything else particularly about Reach School that made you think that it was the right place for you and your family?
Yeah, when I was, so the two elements to just build on the point about Craig and Nadia. So they were, my discussion with Craig was the sort of the final point of the interview process, and the sort of 3 or 4 people I met before him, every single one of the conversations was just easy in terms of the connection and the feeling, even though a lot of it was obviously over Zoom or similar. That struck me as, it's always just been a priority for me, that relationship between the people that you work closely with. So that felt really easy. And then when I spoke to Nadia specifically, she talked me through, because she's only been in the school since last summer, and from what I understand, Craig has been at school for about 5 years or so, and I think they've been on quite an exciting trajectory in that time. And Nadia's, I guess, her leadership within the primary school is the next step of that, and then I'm going to be able to contribute and being part of something, having been part of schools in the UK that either have been established or have needed a lot of work. I think, if I'm being honest, I've enjoyed the schools where you get to go on that journey, and I'm not a massive fan of the word journey, but I've just used it, so I'm a bit of a hypocrite.
I've said it 4 times.
Yeah, I can't think of a better one than journey. But either way, the direction of travel for the school feels exciting, and when Nadia explained about her vision for the next steps, I just was surprised, genuinely taken aback by how immediately I thought, right, I know what I think about this, and I know how these ideas or this experience could fit in, or that I'm excited to learn this element. And specifically, we talked similarly to what Poppy just said about our curriculum, because I have, my personal ethos is about exciting, engaging and enriching curriculum. And when we had our discussion about the specifics, because my role is going to be teaching and learning lead with it as a deputy head chip, I just completely got on board with what she was saying. And then the other part of it is the development of people within the team, and that to me was really appealing. So whether it be sort of MPQH opportunities or the BSO opportunities that might come around, it just screamed opportunity at every level, and I was really excited by that, basically.
So certainly from that last question, opportunity and excitement are coming through really, really strongly. And I think that really is, I would say, a fair reflection of education in the region. I do think it's a really exciting place. There's a real sense of innovation, wanting to really be cutting edge with trying new things, quite a brave approach, and lots of risk taking in all the right ways. So yeah, I would absolutely say that resonates, and that's very much what I feel about education in the region, that it's a really exciting place to be. Let's get back to you guys now. We've talked about your schools. Let's get back to you guys and a bit more of your journey. Sorry, George. And the practical side of things. So you're coming to the end of your school year in the UK, and then there's going to be the practical bits of that whole big move. And then I guess you're getting here probably mid-August-ish to settle in and get ready to start for the new role. So I want us to think a little bit now about maybe what aspects of that move you're looking forward. No, let's not do the looking forward. We'll come back to that. What aspects of that are maybe being a little bit of a challenge, or the bits that you think could be most challenging when you get there? And I mean, that could be, if you absolutely hate packing up your house, it could be packing up your house. New cultures, perhaps, new language, although, George, as you quite rightly said, it's very much English speaking, so you're not going to have to speak Arabic on day one. But in terms of the practical aspects, Charlotte, might be your cat, actually. In terms of the practical aspects of your move, Poppy, what for you do you think is going to be something that you're really going to have to get your teeth into?
I mean, I'm sure Charlotte and George, if you're taking any pets, I mean, we've got 2 cats, and we rescued our cats in Singapore, and that was probably the most stressed, and I've given birth. Probably the most stressful experience of my life was trying to take these two beautiful cats that we'd rescued back to England during the pandemic. It was honestly hell on earth. And reliving it again, although it is, what I will say, it was a lot, it's been a lot more straightforward this time round. I mean, even though with everything going on in the region, and the company that we're using, Expat Logistics, have been really, really great. But yeah, that is stressful. Love my cats dearly. We wouldn't be leaving without them, but it is like they're on such a tight vaccine schedule. And you know, all of that. I mean, taking your belongings, we're actually not taking that many belongings. We're not taking anything. We're being brave. We're just rocking up with suitcases, which is what we did when we were 25. And I'm not sure if this is a smart move now with a 2-year-old, but we're gonna do it and find out, everybody. But yeah, also the visa process. I will say that when we moved to Singapore, I mean, it was easy breezy, lemon squeezy. I remember thinking at that time, gosh, this is stressful. And I didn't have nowhere near the stress levels that I've had the visa process this time round. It is rigorous moving to Saudi. And that has probably been stressful, making sure all your documents line up. My husband has spelt his middle name wrong on probably every document he's ever owned in his life. And that has been so stressful. And I don't know if that is just a Saudi thing. I don't know if that is across the Middle East, whether this is an issue, not an issue, but it is something that you need to take into consideration. So I will say to anyone who's listening, documents, get them all in check, get them all done, your transcripts, birth certificate, everything you could possibly, marriage certificate you can think of, they will need to see and get sorted. So that has been long and stressful. But I mean, it's all worth it in the end, because, you know, we're going to get to do an amazing thing, and, you know, take our cats with us. But yeah, it's also having a child and doing it with children is stressful. So I look back at 25-year-old me and I think, gosh, what an easy time I had of it when I moved to Singapore. So
didn't know you were born, huh?
I didn't know you were born, yeah, honestly. But yeah, it's all worth it. I think it's stressful now, but once you're kind of settled in, and you know, you'll look back and think, I'm glad that we did all of this.
So cats and visas. And yeah, you're right, the documents, the paperwork, I'd say across the whole region, that's not a Saudi thing. It's
okay.
Yeah. You need your documents everywhere. What about you, Charlotte, then?
Well, I was nodding along to the cat information, but actually I've offloaded all of that to my husband. So I don't know any of the process. I'm nodding like, yes, I know your pain. But yes, the documentation, that was a little bit stressful. Just, you know, you think you know where everything is until you need it. And then you go, oh, well, I haven't seen that for a while. So, you know, be organized and do that within plenty of time. We got married in Mexico, and so we had that translated at the time, but that's going to take longer. Our marriage certificate's actually going to take longer to get sorted because of that. So that hadn't crossed my mind. But for me, it will be the packing, because I have a lot of stuff. And we are going to turn up pretty much just with suitcases too. And I'm packing, and I think I've made good progress. And I turn around and look in the cupboard and I think, oh, there's still so much in there. So it's going to take a long time, because, you know, alongside that, you're still doing your day job, and you're still looking after the children and running the house. So there's a lot to be done, but it will, like Poppy said, it will be worth it.
All worth it, yeah. And what's stressing you out, George?
So I feel calm at the moment, but what I would say is that last half term, similar to what these two have said, despite work being busy, the attestation of documents was causing me to slightly lose the plot. And I was maybe trying to be proud and do it myself. And I've ended up using the agents that the school have recommended, just because I needed someone else to worry about it in the end. Taking that on the chin. It was we had documents, but it's so specific, isn't it, about getting them all your ducks in a line. So that was a stress. I think I've on the language point, I've downloaded Duolingo, and my Arabic is terrible after 110 days. I've learned. I know how to say. I know how to say I'm George and I'm from York, and beyond that, I'm really struggling. But
Go on, then. Tell us.
So,
In
Anna
Arabic.
George, Anna Min York. I think that's right.
Yeah, that'll do.
Yeah. Exactly, like I said, terrible. So progress is slow. I think so. It's really interesting to hear you both say that you're not taking. We've decided not to take loads either, and that's been recommended through various people, and it's made sense. We're people who I think we enjoy having nice things in our house, but it's made us realise actually what's important, and we've shipped some things last week, and the things that we've shipped are the children's favourite toys, photos, and things to make. So we're going to begin living in an apartment that the school's provided, and I know it's quite usual, isn't it, for accommodation to be provided. And we've decided that because we'll have sofas and beds and all the stuff, actually, how are we going to make it feel homely? And it's just really interesting through that process, because we started with this long list of this is all going to get shipped, and it just became smaller and smaller and smaller, and we feel quite good about that now. So it's just a reminder of what's important. We're doing this because Frankie and I want to go on an adventure together, and we want to take our kids together. So we don't need whatever things we might take. We just need the bare essentials. But the thing that I think now that is most on our mind, we've booked our flights and we've booked in all the goodbye do's. So we're going out with Frankie's girls and their husbands. We're going out with some of my mates and their wives, and then we've started talking to our dads about how I'm going to go out with my dad and my stepmom for dinner. And they're the bits where you're like, they're the bits that are going to be nerve-wracking, I think, saying goodbyes. And they're beginning to feel quite real. So the stress seems to have gone, and it's more like the mixture of excitement and a little bit of, it's quite real now.
Yeah. You're really interesting there that you're talking about how that decision about what to take with you and what to leave really has clarified priorities for you. That's a really interesting take, yeah. And of course, yes, the goodbyes are sad, but I think you need to start planning now. They've probably already started, actually. Your family have probably already started planning their first holiday, so you can start looking forward to that right away. So we've talked there about what's stressing you out. So I'd like to look at the opposite side now. And you've all spoken really positively about why you think, the region's going to be a great place to be and the opportunities that you're looking forward to. So what are you most excited about? What are you really looking forward to and you can't wait to get here so you can do? What is it for you, Poppy?
Where to start? Other than starting the school, which I'm really, really excited about. I'm also starting as maths lead for the primary school, which I'm really excited about. I love middle leadership. And like George said, something that I really love, one of the things I've been really passionate about is training teachers and stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to, I'm so sorry, my cat's about to come into the shot now.
Oh, nice.
He saw Charlotte's cat and he thought, right, hold on.
I want to get in on the action.
Yeah. So yeah, excited about that new role. And then just I'm really excited to explore Saudi. Like Saudi is really coming on the scene when it comes to tourism, and some really amazing places. Like we really want to go to Al Ula in the desert. I really want to, I am a lover of luxury. So they've got some amazing luxury resorts like up in the Red Sea that have just opened. So yeah, I'm really excited to travel again. We haven't traveled, at all really since having a child. So, but I'm really excited about exploring Saudi and obviously the Middle East. I've never been to the Middle East before. So excited to explore the region, but really, I'm just really excited to explore Saudi. I think there's so much it has to offer. I think it's quite, I could be saying this and maybe I could be wrong, but I think it's quite undiscovered. And so I'm really looking forward to kind of like going to places, and kind of, broadening my horizons with it.
Excellent. George, what about you? What are you looking forward to?
I think I've spoken about the school elements, but I'm excited. I've met a couple of the team beyond my immediate senior leadership team that I'll be working with this week, and that's quite nice to begin to put faces to names. And the thing that feels strange with some of the people that I've spoken to a few times is that because I've texted them like every other day, although 3 or 4 of them I've never met, when I see them in August, it's going to feel like meeting up with friends or old friends. And so I'm quite looking forward to meeting these people that I haven't already in real life. So that's exciting. In terms of the family stuff, I've got this image in my head about finishing work and then being able to head to the beach or to the park with the children. And then we were talking about on a Friday afternoon or on a Saturday, being able to do just exciting days out and go down to the beach and enjoy the weather. They're I think the family time outdoors, because we love summer in the UK for all 4 days of it. And even at the weekend, when it was a bit nicer and warmer, we had such a good day on Sunday. And I was thinking, it's actually how many of these days do we get in the year? Nowhere near enough. So very excited for the weather. And then the really selfish thing that I discovered last week that I didn't know is we're 15 minutes from the F1 circuit.
Oh, wow.
Apparently, you can take your bike and cycle around. So I ended up last minute shipping my push bike. I've got a racing bike. I was like, I didn't think I was going to take it. And then someone said every Sunday, apparently, you can go and cycle around it. So I will be doing that on a Sunday, which feels quite exciting. And I've said the word exciting too many times today, but I am excited.
That's lots of really interesting different things that people are looking forward to there. Charlotte, did I ask you already about your? No, I didn't, did I?
No, but very, very similar, really. Like George and his family, we like being outdoors. And yes, George, it is starting to feel like the summer is going to be 4 days long. So I think the warm weather and being able to have some time together outside exploring. I'm really excited to work with new people and meet new people. I've worked in my current community for 21 years. So it's going to be very sad to say goodbye to everybody, but I'm really excited to work with new people and have new ideas. I'm really looking forward to that. And I'm normally quite shy, so that's quite of a strange feeling for me to really actually be looking forward to that. And I'm looking forward to sharing new experiences traveling with my children.
Lovely, lovely. Well, thank you all very much for that. Now, we've finished all of our questions about you moving. I don't know if you've listened to the podcast at all before, but we always finish with the same question. We know that the influence of teachers can be beyond our imagination at times, that far-reaching ripple effect. So I'd like each of you to think about a teacher that you have had as a child yourself, who has had an impact on you, and why that teacher why they had that impact, why they've made a difference to you. I'll let you go in your own order because some people might need a bit more thinking time than others. Who wants to volunteer to go first?
I will. I have thought about this question and I couldn't choose between two. So I'm
give them both a mention for sure, yeah.
My drama teacher in year 7, Miss Davies, and my art teacher in year 7, Miss Perrott. And they were both quite quirky in their own ways. And I was a very shy, quiet girl, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do, or I didn't even really know if I liked anything other than reading. So I didn't really like any other lessons. And they were both so passionate about their subjects and so friendly and kind that I have remembered them always. And probably that's why I wanted to be a drama teacher initially, because she made me feel so safe and happy in her room.
That's lovely. And clearly inspiring, because here you are teaching drama. George, Poppy, who's going next?
I'll go next. I had an amazing history teacher when I was in secondary school, called Dr. Bradshaw. He was quirky, to say the least. He loved incorporating like drama into history, and this was he would write scripts for us with different characters. Like, so we were doing the Russian oligarchs, and he wrote, this is before ChatGPT, so this man was sat there writing his own scripts to kind of bring the history to life. Like, one time I remember walking in year 9, and he was sat, I mean, you wouldn't be able to do this now with health and safety, but he was sat on a chair on a table dressed as the Pope, and we had to come in and pretend kiss his ring. He was honestly such a character, but he really inspired a love of history, and history is one of my favorite subjects. I then went on to study it at degree level, and he was also like, he balanced fun whilst also having extremely extremely high academic standards. So like we would have all the fun lessons where he brought history to life, but we'd also have the lessons where we would take scrupulous notes and he would be, rapidly writing. Thinking back on it now, I don't know how he did it with the stamina, writing furious notes on the whiteboard, and trying to, get us to engage, and we're, copying it down. Again, before digital tech, everybody, when you did everything by hand. So yeah, I mean, he really inspired a love of history. And as I said, I went on to study it as my degree, and it's something I'm really, really passionate about now. So and I've been history lead in primary schools, and yeah, so I think he was really good at balancing the fun but also really high academic standards, and that's always really stayed with me.
Lovely. George, tell us your teacher of impact.
It's interesting that the people who I remember the most are some my youth leading, like the youth leaders. Mm-hmm. When I was younger, they had the biggest impact on me, I think. And for various, they're just really inspirational people. Where you talked about risk earlier. Yeah, I think I'm quite naturally risk averse, but I'm always drawn to people who take risks. And I think I wish I was a bit braver sometimes like them. But I know then I'm brave in other ways. But that was a big thing. The three teachers I had in mind, I won't go into detail about each one, but the theme, one is from primary school, one is from secondary, and one is from one of my A-level teachers. And when I was thinking about them, it was really, they're almost, it's the same value that they have. So they all made me feel really safe, and their relationship was really important to me. And then they were really good at encouraging the thing I was interested in. So in primary school, I loved maths, and my teacher was amazing at giving me maths opportunities. Similarly, a drama teacher at secondary school who gave us amazing opportunities. And then my history teacher at A-level, it's the right person with the right relationship at the right time for me. And those three I always remember really fondly.
And do you want to give them?
The cat just came across again, Poppy.
Yeah. Do you want to name your teachers, George?
Yes. So Mrs. Weatherall was my primary school teacher, who I ended up teaching me for sort of 3 years, and then Mrs. Grace, who was my form teacher and my drama teacher, and then a guy called Adam. We called them by their first name at A-level, and it was a guy called Adam, whose surname I can't remember, and I feel awful, but he's called Adam. He was amazing.
Well, thank you very much. And we talk about the ripple effect, and that you can't, when you're in the moment, when you're teaching, you can't imagine what that's going to look like. And I think looking at how that impact has influenced what you've gone on to study and what you've gone on to teach, I think is a really good example of just how far-reaching that impact can be. And I'm sure that you will be having equally impactful time with your students in your new schools when you arrive in the Middle East. To anyone who's listening that is thinking about moving to the Middle East, hopefully you've been inspired by Poppy and Charlotte and George to maybe give it a good think. If you're looking for openings, the BSME website has got a jobs board, and there are still some vacancies there for August, September. So if you're keen for a short minute decision, then take a look at that. If you've already, like our three wonderful guests here, decided to make the move and you're arriving in August, be sure to engage with BSME when you get here. We help all new teachers to network across the region, to connect with people from other schools, to share your good practice, and just to really engage in professional dialogue. And there's lots of opportunities for all sorts of action research and lots of stuff going on. So do be sure, if you're moving to the Middle East, that you check out BSME website and you find out what benefits are available for you, your school, your students when you actually arrive. So just then remains for me to thank the three of you, Poppy, Charlotte, George. Thank you very much for giving up time this evening to come and have a chat with us. And I'm really excited about meeting you in person when you get here. I'll make a point of actually coming to visit you in your schools. And who knows, maybe we'll do another session sometime, maybe half term or something, to see how things are going, what's been exactly as you expected, and perhaps what's been different. Thank you very much for your time. I really appreciated talking to you. Take care, guys.
Bye. Nice to meet you both. All of you. Bye.
Okay. Thank you, guys.